Hey Internet, we're gonna see if this works. The sound will not be particularly good as I'm on the road home after a Saturday that I kind of gave over to getting a few things done. Not my preferred method of, I'll just close these windows, not my preferred method of action. I like to try to take a good solid day off every week, usually on Friday, and then I will, if Saturday is available, also try to take that day away from projects, official work, obviously things you're doing with your family, cooking, shopping, all that, that's just life. But just to try to give the brain a chance to slow down, refresh, not feel like if I don't do it, the world's gonna end, that kind of thing, which as selfish people, which we are, we all tend to give ourselves a little more credit in that regard. It's gotta get done, right? And I mean, I struggle with that all the time. I think that obviously all the time. So I've always tried to take some time off leading into Sunday morning particularly. Some weeks you can't at all. Sometimes though, I feel that I maybe go overboard on that a little bit. And it depends. You can hack it a little bit. So of course I love playing video games, but to spend 5 hours, 6 hours playing a video game by myself, while I love that, and it was a childhood habit, it may not be the best choice for your health. It may not be the best choice for your family. And so, hacking it, we've really picked up Minecraft as a family, my wife excluded, but the kids, I have a server that's private that we play on, so we can just kind of go into our world and do whatever. And it's kind of cool. We're all doing our own little things. Like the youngest just likes to cook in Minecraft, and I'm all trying to build like a tech industry and get sustainable energy and all this stupid stuff. But then recently it was really cool. We have this world. We all have our little places we've kind of colonized, and somebody mentioned, or maybe I don't know how it came up, but the question came up. This like, what kind of pagans are we? We live on this planet. We're making use of its resources, and we don't have a church. And it's not that we're going to actually go to church on Minecraft, but we have begun a project of building a kind of a cathedral just out of our minds, and out of my mind. I'm leading that a bit. That's been the recent project. So that's fun to sit there for several hours and do that with each other. Takes a few computers, so we rotate kids through and so forth. But even that, you got to be careful with that. You don't want to get in the way of other things. Like we homeschool, like we should go outside sometimes, that kind of thing. So anyhow, but the other side of it is, I don't know. I feel like the idea that I have to rest from my work is also a little bit of a problem. But it's tough because you have the third commandment. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Clearly, our Lord desires us to hear His word. That is what the real meaning of that commandment is. And yet it wasn't only that for the Old Testament people of Israel. It was also the commandment to rest. And I do believe that there is a need for the human mind to recover, for the life to recover. And again, like I said before, to believe that we are not needed. Not that God doesn't want us, or that he doesn't have a gift to give in us to give to other people, but we are not the center of the universe, and if we do stop for a couple hours or a day, it'll be fine. The daily bread will still be there, right? And so I think that is part of the wisdom that's taught in that commandment. And then again, but the flip is, like, why is it that we hate work so much, right? And I've been on a little bit of a journey the last, 3 years on that edge. So about 5-6 years ago, I got really into productivity. I still like it a lot. I like efficiency. I like hacks. I like to not waste my time. Like if I can do a good something in 15 minutes, why would I spend 3 hours doing it, right? Unless I really, really like doing the thing just for its own sake, right? And so I do like productivity, and that was kind of the start of the journey. Everbook, if you followed any of that stuff, is a culmination of trying to find the right tool for managing information hacks in an age where we have too much information. Got into getting things done is also a big part of that. But then about 3 years ago, I also took a job in an office, and I was in an office before, in a sense, the church office, very different than what most of you probably endure daily, a daily commute, and then a world in which your value is measured by time, right? So it's not how good are you at what you do for most of you. Some of you maybe have figured out a way to not live in that, but for most of you it is, how long have you been here? And you got to be here this time to this time, and then we'll give you stuff, and you either are good at it or bad at it. It doesn't matter, but you've got to be here for this time, and you're paid for your hours. You are renting your hours to somebody. And I don't know what the first resource was that I came across that dealt with that. It might have been just Tim Ferriss in general. I like Tim Ferriss. I listen to his podcast about every fourth or fifth episode now at this point. I've read a number of his books. His books are generally very helpful, even though his earliest one probably was 4-Hour Workweek is where I first discovered this. The 4-Hour Workweek is a book that sounds like a scam, and because of the title. And the title is intended to sound like a scam. It wants you to buy it, thinking you're going to get out of work. And it's also written by Tim when he was very, very young. Well, young compared to him now. Not very, very, but young. And he'll say this too, that it has a certain snottiness to it, that a little cocksureness to it that maybe isn't entirely helpful to someone like us, Christians, that are going to go read the book to try to get what's out of it. So you do have to go into it with the real just knowledge of that and ignore some of the more flesh-appealing sales pitches that take place in there. Now we're talking Sixth Commandment. We're just talking laziness, right? Or just having it all. But what is in the book is a great deal of information about the opportunities that exist in the present day for self-leadership. And then with that, theory or ideology about what real work is, as opposed to this idea that time is real work, right? So that's probably where I was first introduced to it. But then the book that really clicked it for me is called Why Work Sucks and How to Fix It, which I've heard the Audible, if you're into Audible, which is a great hack for reading books, is to listen to them. If you're into Audible, I've heard that book on Audible is really not so great because the voicing is a little, again, maybe sort of a little pushy, yeah. But the book itself really, really opened my eyes to this industrial age misunderstanding of value based on time. And it has everything to do with like you're digging ditches or you're at an assembly line kind of thing. And while there may be some jobs that ultimately must be measured by time, we now measure everything by time. And it really isn't very helpful for your mentality as you're trying to work, because instead of thinking about, is what I'm doing good, and am I doing a good job at it, and how can I be better at that, and throwing all your energy into that, although you may do that too, you then also are trapped in this looking at the clock game, right? Where, like, let's say I get to the office at, back then it was 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., somewhere there. And I do 5 hours of absolutely stellar work. Like, I just am productive out the wazoo, right? So that takes it to what? Now it's 1:30? Is that right? I can't do that. I can't do time math very fast. 1:30? Let's just say it's 1:30. Might have been it's 12:30, isn't it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just say it's 1:30. Actually, geez. Now I'm getting caught on that. Wait, so 6:30 it starts. 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. It's 11:30. It's 11:30, and you've done 5 hours of solid work, right? Not just work, but like you didn't stop, you didn't eat, you went to the bathroom quickly, you didn't sit and talk at the water cooler, you just produced out the backside, right? Just whew, right? And now you're exhausted because you just mentally ran a marathon, right? At full sprint. And so you decide, I'm gonna go home. And you walk out of the office at 11:30. How's that gonna go? Yeah? Meanwhile, someone else can kind of come in around, 8 or 9, spend a lot of the day talking, chatting, moving around, surf the internet a little bit, and 11:30, they're like looking at the clock, man, I can't wait to get out of here, and I got to find something to do, right? And that situation is in large part created by the hourly mindset. Now, it's true that a very lazy person, if they were put in a situation where the company said, we don't care when you come to work, we just want you to do your work, a lazy person's going to say, great, and then not do their work. Well, the company that is going to succeed in this model would have to then fire that person pretty quickly, right? Which is hard work, and no one wants to do it. So the book, again, is the implementation of the system at Best Buy headquarters years ago. I have no idea how they're doing now. But again, the shift for me was then thinking about work not in terms of when, right, but in terms of what. And then trying to apply that. Initially, I was still in an office, and they gave me some freedoms there as a pastor, but it was still like kind of always looking over your shoulder in terms of, hey, am I in the building enough, that kind of thing. So even so, I began applying that idea to my life in general. I've applied it here in Rockford with my secretary. She's doing great. She loves it, actually. I think she loves it. So it's just shifted the way that I look at work, and it's made work less about, well, certainly not at all for me about how much time did I spend. In fact, if anything, I've increased the amount of time I work. But work now is about what do I want to get done. So the next step for me a little bit is coming to terms with, I don't care how much you want to do it, how much you like it, it maybe can't be done. not with this and that and this and that and the pile that piles up. And there's all sorts, that's where the productivity is fun. You figure out how to use what I think in 4-Hour Workweek, Ferriss calls it geo-arbitrage, which is to realize that there are resources online where you can pay someone, say in India or Eastern Europe, to do a task for you that over here would cost $25, $30 an hour, and over there it's like 15 or 10. Now, I've not made a lot of use of that, but I know it's there. And so, you can do that kind of thing to limit stuff. I've done that with transcription services a little bit, mostly using the computer one because it's even cheaper. But again, the idea of hacking the product list or production list, project list, so that you're trying to get what you want done without you doing it, like, that's cool. And there's other ways that this idea can be applied. I only kind of have what I'm doing, but the idea is a pretty profound one. But what I'm kind of wrestling with now, though, again, is how to just say, not this, or not this right now. And, excuse me, within getting things done, there's tools for pushing ideas ahead, so you run into them later, quarterly reviews and all that, and that's good. I do that too, but it still doesn't stop me from wanting to really, really push and letting that list get bigger and bigger, so that every Thursday afternoon I have what I've wanted to get done this week, and then there's what I actually got done this week, and then there's that list of things. And often the list of things that remains are the things that I care about most, because I feel guilty working on them rather than other things. And to be fair, some of the other things are the church, and you prioritize your primary vocation, especially if someone's paying you for it. But if you love your job, you would want to do that too, right? Sometimes, though, it's because I haven't clarified enough what the task is, so it's sitting there because I just still don't really know what the next action is, and that kind of thing. But all of this is still like coming to terms with that it's okay to let something you want go, and then it's also okay to, give up your free time if you really want it. Yeah. So that was today. I didn't really want it. Today was just, oh my goodness, blah. This morning was great. We did a pre-meeting for our stewardship drive. If I'm your pastor ever, and I intend to be here for quite a while, one of the things that I believe is quite necessary in an American congregation at least, is to do a stewardship drive every year, and through that process to try to encourage everybody in the congregation not only to think about stewardship in terms of their money, temporal goods, but also their spirituality. You know, what are you doing to grow in the faith this year? And then you want to push on that every year. And if that becomes part of the lifeblood of the congregation, over time you have people who are willingly and understanding why giving, and then also serving's the wrong word. I mean, part of it's serving, but learning, feeding, supporting, living together, having life together. Like by living together, I mean, you know, in the congregation. And so this morning was a pre-meeting to do that this fall, and that went great. I was so happy, so proud of my members who had been through this last year with me leading it, and now they're kind of taking it so that is outsourced, right? Now I'm not quite leading this thing, and they're going to lead it. That's fantastic. Watching that happen is very fulfilling. That was this morning. But then the thing that didn't get done for like 3-4 weeks now, and it's still not entirely done, is I have this problem with, let's stop that there. I have this problem with information storage on digital platforms. Oh, see my eyeballs. Information storage on digital platforms. And part of it is not only are they not really, there still isn't the greatest tool. I still haven't found the tool I like the best for information storage. I'm currently using Notion, and I hope I never have to stop, because getting stuff out of that will be very challenging. But then Dropbox, Google Documents, the desktop on your computer, saved links on what? Where are they? In your browser somewhere? You know, your hotbar on your browser that you've favorited too many things, right? All that. And you know how over time that it just becomes unbearable. You stop looking at it, you stop using certain things because you can't find it, or you're wasting time digging in. So I always kind of have this goal to keep cleaning that, but it's really gotten out of control. So I just spent probably 3 hours going through Google Docs, Dropbox, and the desktop just to find what was there and put it somewhere else where I think I can find it again. Oh boy. The funny thing is, I don't mind that kind of work, right? It's just that gets pushed last, because you can always kind of ignore the white noise of your messy folder while you're having to do something else while the fires are going. But this goes back to getting things done. At a certain point, you become less productive when you can't find the things you need, not only in terms of energy and frustration, right? But then if you can't find it, then you can't do it. So that was this afternoon. And anyway, maybe that doesn't matter to you, and you don't have this problem in your life. But it is a problem, and I'm glad I did it, but I'm glad I'm done. And so I did this on the drive home, and now I'm home. So I'm not going to do a live stream tonight, yeah? But I will probably see you tomorrow. Yeah? Rock on.